Today, as you can see, we have a very prestigious panel here on the dais. And I believe we are talking about one of the key issues of this summit. And that is, how do we finance Myanmar's future in a sustainable way? Let me introduce the panelists very briefly. It is a huge honor to have the Finance and Revenue Minister of Myanmar here with us today. He's also recently been promoted to assume ministerial level duties for investments. So congratulations, Minister, for that. And we very much look forward to your insights on the aspirations you have for Myanmar and on your thoughts on how you will achieve that. Peter Meher, I'll just go one direction. He runs Visa for most of Asia. And Visa, as you may again know, has already begun activity in Myanmar. And he can share with us some of the mechanisms and also share his significant expertise on financial inclusion as they practice around many emerging markets. We then go to U Thanh Nguyen, who is from the KBZ Bank chairman, and he will bring the local flavor, having operated here, and he can also talk to us about the operational challenges and opportunities that Myanmar presents. Next, we have Secretary Abad from the Philippines, and he will bring to us a regional perspective and a knowledge of what a fast-growing financial market looks like and what this might mean for Myanmar. Again, as you are all very aware, Philippines is the current flavor and favorite of the world. They have recently been upped to investment grade, and congratulations for that, Secretary. Next, we have John Frederick Baxas, who is the President and CEO of Telenor. Telenor has been very successful in new emerging markets. They are very active in the neighborhood here. So we will get some very good insights onto alternative financing from his experience and what the future of banking and communication put together might look like. And last but not least, we have Thiranon Srihong, who is the co-president Kasikorn Bank Public Company from Thailand, and he can give us a regional viewpoint and also make the comparisons, which will be of huge interest to us, between Thailand and Myanmar being neighbors, but in a slightly different point in the cycle of economic growth and development. In terms of structure, I'll be asking our panelists for the initial thoughts on the core topic, and then we will open up the floor for questions, which you can field to the panel. We will then turn back to another conversation and discussion on the panel, and then hopefully we might have some time at the end for a final couple of questions. Let me set the scene here. Today we have been asked to address the question of how, with less than 1/5 of Myanmar's population using formal financial systems, can the country build the foundations of an inclusive and robust financial system. This is a unique moment to have this conversation. Myanmar is an exciting country. Multinationals have long since spotted the economic potential of this vast country with its young population. Myanmar is not only rich in natural resources such as oil, gas, and timber, but it's also strategically located between China, India, and ASEAN. It has been noteworthy that the government has shown willingness to draw upon skills and resources from the outside in order to open up Myanmar's economy. This is particularly seen in the work underway to build a modern financial system. The speed and relative ease with which we opened our representative office earlier this year in Yangon is one very good evidence of that very open and progressive mindset of the government in Myanmar. That said, doing business in Myanmar is still not easy, something our clients are telling us. The financial system is at an early stage of development. At a retail level, very few people have bank accounts, less than 10%, I guess. And the speed of legal and regulatory change, along with skill shortages, creates uncertainty. And we cannot ignore that targeted US sanctions against Myanmar remain in place, including in key areas such as financial services. However, we need to recognize that Myanmar government has opened up much faster than many would have expected. Exchange rate unification is a good example. The opening of the telecom license process to foreign players is another. Banking sector liberalization is shaping up and is very much on the radar. And it's also important that Myanmar is already a market economy. All this set a positive foundation. I would now like to turn to the panel to get their thoughts. And may we have the privilege of beginning with you, Your Excellency, the Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Singh, and all the distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to express my heartfelt thanks to all of you for getting the chance to be here with you, all of us. Actually, this is the first international forum in Myanmar soil. That's why, not only for me, on behalf of our Myanmar people, I'm very honored to be here with the very auspicious forum here. So nowadays, all can see very clear. Myanmar is now seems to be the center of global attention since our government took office in 2011. But we are trying and we are going underway, and also we have undertaken so many significant reforms process. During this reform process, directly concern for me is the financial sector's reform also. I'm very happy to be here because I will get a chance to share or to be share the experience to our financial sector's development. So today I hoped we can gather some consensus solutions, what we are doing for the future, especially concerning about our financial sector's development. Thank you.
Minister, as has been everyone's experience who has met with you or anyone else in the government, you remain unassuming and full of humility to be still learning and gathering from others. But thank you for that. May I now turn to Secretary Abad from the Philippines to hear from him.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to be in this forum. The Aquino administration came into power at the back of a very intense desire of people for good governance and the reduction of poverty. And that's why financial inclusion is key to promoting greater equity in our society. And right now it's still a serious challenge for the Philippines to promote greater inclusivity in this area. But our recent experiences with delivering social programs has convinced us about the many advantages of moving in this direction, particularly the benefits of greater efficiency, greater inclusion, as well as greater transparency and accountability in the delivery of services by government. So we believe that a more vigorous push in this direction is going to help grow the economy further, especially since the Philippines enjoys a high degree of credibility insofar as its policy and regulatory framework for finance. So there is, despite the challenges, the silver lining is there. There are great opportunities that's available to further move in that direction.
Secretary, Philippines is one of the best examples of financial inclusion among other countries in the world. And they also, I believe, are one of the most SMS'd countries in the world among their citizens and residents. That leads me on nicely to John, who can talk to us about mobile telephony.
Yeah, thank you, and Your Excellency, and everyone else, thank you for the opportunity. And also, really, thank you to World Economic Forum that basically have kept their finger on this topic for quite a number of sessions. The optimism around financial services through the mobile phone is strong in most markets and has a phenomenal potential. However, the examples of a full-fledged financial services in the mobile phone as sort of on big scale haven't really got out of the bottle yet. So in a way there are still a way to go to say that the full formula has been found. But the strength of inclusiveness in order to achieve greater economic equality among every person in the market is very, very strong. And that comes first and foremost by connectivity as such. And to be included or to not be included, that is sort of the big difference. And on this occasion, I can't refrain from taking an example. When we opened a connectivity in a local marketplace in a neighboring country, and the first person that got the mobile phone in that area came over to me and said, I had used my Norwegian phone and I had called to this person on the local number. And then the person came over to me and said, please, Mr. Baksås, please make sure that I am the only one that have a mobile phone in my area. Because she, in that case, became the hub of all information. So immediately it was understood that when you are in control of information, you are also in control of value add. And I think that goes for the financial aspect as well. Because it's so easily understood that if you can participate in economic life through being able to carry out transactions through your mobile phone in its simplicity, domestic money transfers, for example, to begin with, then you are actually building capacities which you didn't have before. And you reduce the traveling time, you reduce all kind of practicalities. It's there because there is an outlet that you can trust and you're willing to put your money in, and there is another guy in the other end that basically takes them out again. And there is a security mechanism that the mobile phone carriers basically implement in their systems. So then we're back to the trust factor. And mobile carriers to a certain extent has that trust factor because people buy their airtime up front and then they take out the benefit of airtime successively. And then there is suddenly not a difference whether you put some money in at one point of time and potentially take some money out later on because it's your money, it's your airtime. And that is, in a way, the simple philosophy behind it. And one more thing, since we have a cooperative bank of ours just next to me in Thailand, where we started together the ATM SIM, extending the banking services into the hands of the mobile phone. And that means that, in a way, the bank, in this case, was looking at the mobile phone as an extended branch. The only thing it couldn't do was to print money physically. But you could do everything else that it could do from an ATM in that sense. So the potential is there. However, it is also a lot of practicalities, also on the regulatory side, to get it done.
Thank you, John. We've had experience as an institution working with Telenor in many countries, including some very close to Myanmar. And all I can say, John, is I wish you all the best for the bidding in Myanmar. I hope you're active here as well very soon. Let's move on to Peter from Visa. And Peter, you're already active here, so.
Sure. So I'll talk a little bit about the experience that we've had over the last, 6 or 7 months since we signed up with a number of Myanmar banks. The first order of business for Visa is opening up card acceptance so that international visitors can use their card in the country. And we've had to be quite creative in finding solutions to the infrastructure challenges that we have. However, if you put your mind to it, these things can be done. There are challenges which can be overcome. We've got a couple of hundred ATMs. The one that you see in the conference here was installed a few days ago and is working most of the time. But this is Myanmar. It's working most of the time. I got 2 transactions done. We have a couple of hundred retailers, hotels and restaurants, etc., accepting cards today. This will continue. It will roll out. It will become bigger. I was just looking at the numbers before I came here. We've had about 50,000 ATM transactions for international visitors, about $7 million dispensed, which has gone straight into the Myanmar economy. Now, where are we going? Of course, if you look at your near neighbour who has a very successful tourism industry in Thailand, international Visa card holders will spend $6 billion in Thailand this year, a little bit over $6 billion. So that's the opportunity. Card acceptance will help the tourism industry in this country and bring some new skills around electronic payment services. So that's the first point. So we're making progress on that, and we're quite pleased with where we've got to in a relatively short time, given the challenges that we have around power and telephone lines, etc. So we're very eagerly looking forward to the telco licensing round and to see the winners roll out a telecommunications backbone in the country. I think the other area, that's the sort of traditional Visa business, if you like. The other side, which is the non-traditional business, which is kind of amplifying what my colleague from Telenor was talking about. We're in this digital era. We have some fantastic opportunities to reach parts of the community that the banks won't reach because their cost structure is different than the cost structure that you have in some of these mobile money schemes that we see increasingly around the world. And they are reaching, hundreds of millions of people who had no access to financial products before. They are basic financial products, basic services, but they address the convenience. Poor people, don't have much time either to do certain things. And they're simple and they can be understood. Because I think one of the challenges as we get into a banked or a financially included community here is basic education and knowledge. So we find that one of the things that we do more of is training. So we have 7 banks here. We work very well with the banks and the central bank to educate and pass on the knowledge that we've picked up in our experience around the world. And we find that the folks here are very eager to learn, very eager to learn. So we're very encouraged by that. But this opportunity to build a policy framework which will rocket fuel the mobile money, I think is an area which the government should really focus on and try and get that right. Because if you can get that policy framework right, great things can happen. And we've seen these schemes, and I know John is all over the world with Telenor. He's been part of them. We've seen in some countries where the regulations are in place, the schemes go very well. And you can get around to building up trust and confidence in the community, and you really get behind these schemes. Where the regulations aren't appropriate or are a bit clunky or clumsy, the schemes don't go as fast as they could. So I think if there was one area which I think the government should focus on, is that policy framework. There are lots of experts from World Bank, CGAP, AFI, you name it, who have a lot of learnings under their belt. And I think, I know you are talking to them, and I know your sort of regulations are coming soon, and we're sort of eagerly anticipating that. But I think with the expansion of the banking sector, which is happening, everyone we talk to is putting out more branches the traditional way, and then the e-money and mobile money and the technology which is coming. I think you've got a great opportunity to do things quickly in this country in a matter of years, not decades. And so, when we talk about cash, and people in Vietnam still prefer gold and bank accounts, and they're 20 years into it, I think we have an opportunity here to make very quick progress.
Thank you, Peter. The best example I know in our part of the world where the economy moved in a very short period from cash to plastic is Korea, in a very short time. And they did it because they provided tax incentives on transacting on plastic rather than on cash. And I guess that's another idea the credit card companies will be suggesting to the minister here and to his government. Let me now turn to Tiranan from Thailand.
Yes, thank you. Let me shift the gear a little bit because I'm a traditional banker and I look at this kind of thing also from the risk perspectives. I think the key to economic development is you need to have a robust, efficient and competitive private sectors creating jobs, providing services to citizens, and also paying tax for country development. So I think Myanmar needs to get to the basic right on banking system first, and which is how do you would allow private sector to prosper through an efficient financial services. And that is to reduce waste into the systems, in the systems right now, creating efficiencies. So actually my first advice is to work on payments. Work on efficient payment system, efficient clearing and settlement systems. And then also working on the deposit sides of banking, creating confidence. Because people, there are money, a lot of money in Myanmar right now that are not circulating in the banking systems. People just don't trust bank, let alone, trusting that your money in the mobile phone will be, then in the end can really be used if there's no proper regulatory platform to ensure them that once they put the money somewhere and that they can get it back. So it is, my idea would be to first working on a robust banking infrastructures, and that comprise a lot of issues to be discussed. Work on payment, deposits, and maybe insurance, because insurance will give a large number of populations a protections for their financial safety if anything happens to them. A lot has been said about microcredit and the credits that's given on mobile phone and all that. To me, I think that's too advanced things to think about because credit is complicated. And once you talk about credit, you need to have a proper risk management system and risk supervision, which is a complicated things to build on. So my quick thinking right now is work on the basic infrastructures, getting more people to be in the banking system by creating confidence, creating trust, and we can talk a lot more about that.
Thank you. Thailand, of course, boasts a very progressive and sophisticated banking system, so it's the closest neighbor as well, so a lot to learn and to give and take from Myanmar. U Thant Win, we purposely kept you for last since we said you would be able to talk really about what the priorities should be for the banking system here, being a local chair of the very well-flourishing bank here. But also, what have you learned from the past in terms of your experience, the good things and the opportunities that might be there?
Thank you, and good afternoon, everybody present. And the fact that our banking system is still undergoing a learning process. I just want to get things that to look back what we are just trying to transform the banking system. Just before I came here, we were we came across with the ESN and the TV group. They came along and said we want to have some TV shots. So we permitted them we showed them our main branch with the bank. And they were surprised to find that a lot of cash are piling up, we never see before in other countries. So the cash culture itself is ingrained in us. It's because you remember, if you keep remembering, because we nationalized all the foreign banks, 14 foreign banks in existence, and 10 domestic banks in 1963. That was the end of the modernization process. And because of that, the people itself, they're far away from the banking system. Until 1993, when we first permitted the private banks to open up. I was with the central bank at the time, and we were on the point of liberalization all the financial services at the time. And even at the time, we already have permitted some of the private banks to issue the credit cards. But because of the financial, the Asian financial crisis, all these reforms were put to a stop. But then along, with the present governments coming into the picture, we also have this liberalization measures to continue again. And right now, some of those are questioning us, if you keep on opening the branches, there'll be nobody is coming to the bank. Because, in fact, the people are so much used to the cash culture, they may not think it coming to the bank. And we said it's okay because at least we did some service to the country. At least it may be a loss to us by opening new branches. But then along, when we try to open the branches, we are surprised. The people they flock to the bank. And then we gain a lot of the customers. And even right now, we have almost, within the one and a half year period, we almost have almost almost a million customers with us already, and we keep on multiplying. And that's the reason why we want to be more stronger in the retail banking. By next year, I think we are going to multiply the 100 plus branches we have with us. So that is one of the experience with us. I think going on the second point, secondly, that the role of the central bank itself, in the past is very passive. And with the coming of this new government, we want the central bank to be more proactive, in the sense that we are just framing the new central bank law, which is going to enjoy a little dependency away from the Minister of Finance. I don't want to offend my Minister of Finance here, because when you say independence means we are not fighting each other with the Minister of Finance and the central bank itself. I'm also advisor to the Minister of Finance, and I hope it's not offending my Excellency, my boss. Actually, what we are working towards the central bank independency is, having a check and balance system. And we are going to go at a degree of independency, and we are not saying that it's going to be outright independency. It's a sort of autonomous status this central bank is going to enjoy. So directly accountable to the president in the first instance, and then later on accountable to the parliament or the Piduluto itself. So my final point is as I said, we are still in a learning process. And before that, we try to modernize financial services for the moment. And all the banks are bent on having this, we already have contacted with a number of banks in the area to have a correspondent bank relationship. And we have installed the ATM system, already small in number. And we already have the ATM outside, and our banks have installed with another two banks. And I think, as Peter has just said, we have to. I have to apologize if you find it a little difficulty to getting the cash from this ATM using the Visa card. It's not because of the Visa, not because of the machine itself, but because of the weather. The weather is playing havoc. So please excuse us for any difficulty you face. And I think you agree with me. So for the moment, in modernizing our banking system, the service itself, Well, we have already come up with the team up with a number of banks in the area, including Kosukon Bank and other banks there. But what we are finding it difficult is why we don't understand is why the Western banks are not coming, including the charter banks, Standard Chartered. But when the Standard Chartered is already present here, we have a very fruitful discussion. But their presence is not keenly felt here. And I be inviting them to come back home because, as you know very well, the Standard Chartered Bank was born itself in Myanmar. If you say literally in some way, if I'm correct, it's 1862. So we'd like to welcome back the Standard Chartered Bank to us, and also other banks in the region, and not only in the region, but also from international banks. And the fact that the main challenge for us is capacity building itself, because we are so far away from the international banking community. As I said, we are still in a learning process. And in fact, some of the banks, including our own banks, we are trying to hiring some of the bankers in the region. And it is one way of solving the capacity development deficiency. And I think we also going along with some of the, we already set up the MPU, Myanmar Payment Union, just to team up with some of the payment system, like the Visa, the MasterCard, and then we also going to team up with the GCP from Japan and China Union Pay in a very near future. So on the whole, I think we are just an infant, the learning infant, trying to crawl and trying to stand up. So I hope very much, we want to learn a lot from the region, a lot from our own, the prominent the persons here, and I hope they will render us a lot of advices for the moment. Thank you.
Thank you for welcoming us back. Yes, we did start here 150 plus years ago. We've been here 110 of those 150 years, and we look forward to our next 150. Let me now introduce you to Thurako, who is the Managing Director of YGA Capital Limited, Myanmar. Thurako is the rapporteur, and what he will do in that role will be to do a video, I think, of the key themes of this session after the debate and put that out. And may I turn to you, Thura, for the first question towards the audience.
I'll do a video, and then if I can sell it, I'll sell the DVD as well. But thank you, Jaspal. This is a topic that's taken up a lot of my time over the past, a lot of my company's time over the past several months, because we have been working with the Central Bank of Myanmar and His Excellency's ministry to try and bring financial inclusion into Myanmar here by bringing a micro-banking model that we've successfully invested in Indonesia. And I know a number of other colleagues of ours have been trying to do this as well. And as part of this, and this is framing the first question I have, as part of this, we did a survey of street vendors and market vendors in Yangon, Mandalay, and Mongyua, which is a second-tier city in middle Myanmar. It took us about 3 months, and we went through 500 vendors in total. And one key question was how familiar they were with the banking services and the banking systems here. And 3 key conclusions came up, and practically none of them really did not use banks apart from remittances. Just wiring money from between families from one branch to another. But 3 conclusions came out of that, and for why they did not use banks. Number 1, physical access. There was physical access, and just vendors having to open at 6 a.m., 7 a.m., and then close well after 6 p.m. means they cannot go to banks during opening hours, plus also the physical lack of bank branches nearby. And of course, that's where technology and so on can overcome that. The second reason was it was far too cumbersome. They were fearful of walking into these banks. The forms that they have to fill out, the questions that they're asked, they simply didn't understand it, and they just felt it wasn't for them. So making things simpler and less cumbersome And that's where actually on technology, the Philippines has done a great job using SMS to remit billions of dollars in simple processes. But the third factor, and it's a key one and it's a unique one to us, and it's one that we must fix, is the lack of confidence and trust in the banking systems. And there's been a lot of history on this. We've had bank runs, and we've had government making demonetizations in the past and so on. So people have been fearful of using the banking systems. And that is incumbent perhaps on the banks as well, to be more prudent in their lending. In the past, banks used to lend within their conglomerates and so on. So to Kun Sirong's points, risk is an important matter for banks. But really, that's the question that I would like to pose. How do we build back confidence in the system? Part of it is, of course, a lot of it is regulation and the central bank, but also a lot of it is banks. And then when technology comes, encouraging people to use it and to have trust, whether it's plastic or whether it's mobile banking as well. So I'll open with that if I may, Jasper.
Thank you, Tura. As I suspect with all questions, Minister, your response will always be very well received. So may I ask you to respond first?
Thank you, Sandra. First of all, I'd like to say we want to examine, we want to check to the root cause why the people don't want to use bank systems. Because I think that most of our peoples are low-income people. That's one of the root cause. How low-income people can go to bank to save money or something to use money. This is one of the key factors. I think that, but it may be right or wrong. I'm not sure. Because you mentioned that another thing, low-income people, or on the other hand, we can say it's the poor people, or maybe like that I can say. They have lack of knowledge about the financial services, access to financial services. And sometimes they have lack of identity. And some we are lack of branches in rural areas. So this is very reasonable. And lack of confidence. You mean confidence and trust. It's very fundamental and very right solutions. So we have to encourage, to educate, or financial literacy is very important, I think that. We should educate to the grassroots levels about the financial services. At the same time, from my point of view, we have to build, we have to establish, we have to develop the infrastructures. Now most of the people, they want to keep their money in their own safes rather than in banks. This is confidence, and also very easy to use money in their own safes. So if one of the low-income people, they have a maybe account in the banks, they have to go to the banks, and so many things to do. Most of our people have many difficulties, many needs, food and clothes and other things we have to consider that. So that's why we want to develop, or we want to try to reduce the poverty alleviations. So that's why access to financial services can help to reduce the poverty alleviation, I can think that because microfinance and others, maybe small and medium enterprises financing or something like that. So that's why we are trying to increase the capacity of our banks. And on the other hand, at the same time, we have to educate the people to use banks. I mean, this is the financial literacy. This is my point of view that. So maybe other can discuss and other can have some different views. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Would one of the bankers like to say something? I hear the Secretary put his hand up, please.
Well, in the Philippines, we have taken for granted this problem of lack of trust in the banking system because we've had a central bank that has been performing very excellently in exercising its regulatory as well as its oversight functions in ensuring that we have in ensuring the stability and the integrity of the banking system. I think that's very critical, the role that central banks play in promoting this. The problem of financial exclusion in the Philippines has more to do with the high incidence of poverty, which in itself is also a reason why, despite the robustness of the banking system's branches and ATM branches, they have actually been limited to town centers and urban areas and have not been able to spread out to where they are needed most. Our experience recently with the conditional cash transfer program that we have been vigorously implementing has given us a lot of lessons about how to promote financial inclusion. When we started out with CCT, there were just about 800,000 families and about 10 billion pesos invested in the program. And when the president took over, he instructed us to make sure that by the end of his term, by the end of 2015, that we would have been able to service about 4.6 million indigent households. And initially, the World Bank was reluctant to agree with us on that target. But when we begin to move from cash-based delivery of the cash subsidies to ATMs, there was a dramatic increase in the ability of the program to reach the poor. But still, ATMs limited us to town centers and urban centers until we discovered mobile phone banking, which allowed us to reach the poor via gasoline stations, grocery stores, cooperatives of farmers using mobile phone. And because of that, this year, we will be able to reach 3.8 million households investing 44 billion pesos, more than $1 billion for this program. And now we're realizing that we have here a mechanism that allows us in an alternative way to reach the very poor, because this program reaches the extreme poor, and there is another layer of the near poor who are also vulnerable. Just one flood can push them down to the level of being extremely poor. And so I think this mechanism, we feel, is going to make a very big dent on the problem of poverty and the government's ability to reach the poor, which, by the way, for the first time in our history, it was very critical for us to be able to identify who the poor are and where the poor are, because the prevalence of political patronage sometimes distorts the ability to effectively reach the poor. So this experience is leading us to move in other direction, because we believe that the role of government in business, while critical, can also be limited in reaching the very poor, so that it's important really to develop alternative financial institutions to get to the poor. Because we do have development banks owned by the government, but since they operate within central bank rules, they have to abide by the stringent rules of the central bank, and they're less risk averse. But transacting with the poor entails risks, and it's really important for alternative financial institutions to be developed, like microfinance, micro guarantees, and micro insurance groups. And this is what we're tapping for the coming rounds of our social programs in the Philippines.
If I could just
Thank you, Secretary.
add
Peter,
a thing about policy on that. It's having an appropriate level of regulation and not overdoing it. It's a proportionate risk policy. So, the world's got tied up with KYC and AML and FATF and all of that stuff. We got ourselves into a mess such that we cannot deliver basic technology because of these rules. And the greater benefit that's there and is available to us is delayed while people try and figure out whether a poor person who is dealing with small amounts of money should have the same level of risk diligence as a international large volume cash transfer system. So I think you need to stick your neck out and make some choices. If poverty alleviation, which I believe is the number one priority here, you can tell FATF how you're going to do it.
Thanks, Peter. Why don't we open up for some questions from the audience, and then we can come back. Okay, we've got a lot of hands up, but why don't we start here? If we can get a mic here, and then we'll move it around.
Thanks, Jaspal. The model financial inclusion means that you have to
Could I request you just say your name and where
I'm
you...
Pranjal Sharma from India. I want to understand what kind of model would work in Myanmar, because financial inclusion means that you have to ensure that most people have access to finance, either deposit or credit, almost immediately, to reduce and minimize inequity in the country. What kind of model will work? Business correspondence, microfinance, mobile banking. There are several models in play across the region, from South Asia to East Asia. What do you think could work?
Okay, yeah.
Well, I think what your question is partly answered by Your Excellency, because for one thing, we already permitted the under microfinance law, which we prescribed about 1 year ago, and a lot of these microfinance institutions are in place now. And the one thing that we need to know is, by microfinancing, it's a way of those living in the rural areas or even the urban areas, they intend to have the knowledge of the banking itself and the basic level. So I think the microfinance or the micro institution, the effective institution is also one of the basic thing that we should be educating the people, how to use the banking system, from the bottom up, So coming up with the issue of the confidence, I think the Secretary is right that I think go along with him, because the role of the central bank is extremely important. I have a own experience about a few months ago when the rumors started to create with my bank, KBZ Bank, and there was a withdrawal. We lost about 1% of the deposits at that time in 1 or 2 days. And then I come up with ask the Excellency, because the central bank is not yet independent. All we have to ask for the Minister of Finance. So the Excellency is very kind enough to render us assistance, and we met the press. We then met the press, and then we cleared out these rumors outright. At the time, I remember, I told the press that, the media, that I used to sleep 8 hours a day or at night. But I never sleep, I never lost my sleep, even during this crisis. I mean, it's a mini crisis, So I told them it's because in the past, we have the experience that, even by now, whenever the crisis come up or when the difficulties come up, it's always the central bank that's come up with the help or assistance we need. So what we need is the role of the central bank is to be more, it should be a, rapid decision, on the spot decision that should be made without delaying action. That's why I said the central bank should be more proactive rather than more remaining more passive. It's very important. So I can go along with the Secretary, the role of the regulatory board. It's very important in creating instilling the confidence of the people with regard to the banking transaction. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a question here. What we will do is, since so many hands are up, we'll take a few questions and then probably bring it to the audience so we have a thematic answer there. Please.
Yeah, I'm Christian Mandel from France. In Nigeria, they have about 70% of people who do not have bank accounts, and they have launched a pilot project which is to combine national ID cards with debit cards. And that allows people to withdraw money, make deposits, make small payments, but also to receive social benefits through this payment card. So if you renew a national ID card every 5 years, you could, within 5 years, have 60 million people with payment cards. So is that an option for Myanmar?
Very good idea. We come here, this side. Can we get the mic here? Right here. Front, second row here. Okay, we've got it there. Why don't you give the mic there? Yeah.
Hi, my name is Abrar. I'm from Pakistan. There's no question, but just a few comments on some of the things that all the gentlemen have been saying. First, on the KYC, I think our central bank has been very innovative, and that's something that we can probably, Myanmar can also learn from them, that they have allowed us to go out and offer branchless banking, which is correspondent-based banking, that allows us, first of all, to take the reach of the banking to the far-flung areas, but they've also allowed us to open low KYC accounts. So there are various tiers of accounts that they've allowed us to open. So a person can come to a shop, they can open an account with extremely low KYC. Practically no paper needs to be filled. It's all a virtual process that happens. So that gives them an opportunity to experience banking. And then we allow them to operate those accounts through various channels. They have mobile as an option, they have plastic as an option, and other channels are also available. Another thing that we have seen work very well is that we worked with the government of Pakistan to facilitate lots of G2P payments. Then we have been working with lots of UN agencies to facilitate cash transfers and social transfers through these agents who are available in the remote areas. What that has done in our experience is created a lot of confidence in those people, in the financial system, as well as in those agents, as somebody who is trustworthy because they get the money from them every month on a regular basis. So what we are now seeing is a trend that those people are now starting to actually actively open accounts at these agent locations, and they are starting to use these accounts for saving money, for paying off their bills, for sending money to their relatives, and they're actually starting to use these for making small retail payments as well. So probably those are some of the things that can come in handy as Myanmar is developing their plans for forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Abrar. Those are excellent. One sec. We've got the gentleman behind. Then we'll come to you. Yes.
I'm Arno Ventura. I'm a YGL. I had the opportunity yesterday to talk to the finance minister, but I have a precise question now. I'm the founder of Planet Finance Group, a microfinance group who invest in emerging countries in the setup of new microfinance bank. I think Myanmar has set up a new microfinance law, which is already a very first good step. But we have seen worldwide, and specifically in the regions, most countries allowing, through regulation, the setup of microfinance bank that can extend loans, not only micro, but also SME loans. While here in Myanmar, we have seen that the regulation doesn't allow to give loans beyond $500, while many micro and small enterprise needs loans beyond $500. The regulation doesn't allow also to get access from loans from international financial institutions, nor from the bank, or in a very limited manner. I would like to know whether there are plans to improve the regulation in the current months or in the current years, so that local or international investors such as us, which are specializing in microfinance, can consider investing in Myanmar? Thank you.
Thank you. The lady here.
Hi, my name is Win Te. I'm from Myanmar. Concerning, going back to Koturat's survey research of why people are not using banks in Myanmar. So I think there are 2 points of views. One is whether our current banks are providing the services that people require. And the second point of view is that are there the players in the primary banking sectors? There are not many players in the primary banking sectors, and currently banking sector is very highly restricted. It's only restricted to a few players, and for the local companies, private companies, they are not able to participate in the banking activities, and we are hearing that the government will allow foreign companies, foreign banks to operate after 2015. But then we still do not see or do not get any sense that whether the government will allow local companies to participate in the banking industry. And we understand that government is taking a slower approach because they want to be very cautious because of the past bad experiences and past crises. But then since the banking development is key to the economic development, is this cautious harming the development of the country? That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll take one from that side since we've done a lot this side, and we'll take that as the last and come back and see if we have time for the last one. Yes, please.
I'm Teng Tan Do from Myanmar. I would like to ask that for the mobile wallet operation, which kind of organizations should be able to do? Banks or non-banks, financial institutions, or mobile operators? This one question. And another question is that the regulations. Now the existing regulation cannot be enough for this new services. This is a really new service for our country. So how the regulation should be? I mean, in the beginning, it should be very restricted, or it should be start with some general one and can amend according to the experience. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Those were very rich comments and questions. Let me sort of bring it back to the stage so that, and if we have time, we go back. Minister, we won't trouble you this time for answering, but we do want you to take away some very useful suggestions on the Nigeria experience of having a card, identity card, which has got an embedded chip, which then allows you to transact financially, but also to receive subsidies and grants from the government. So I think it's very powerful, it's proven, it's there for you to learn. The other very good idea from Abrar, which was really about have tier KYC, and let's not use one sort of quote for everyone and sort of have it properly, particularly for the low-income accounts. There has to be some incentive for the banking sector. But let me sort of go a little bit to the bankers and talk about two things. The first thing is, I think there was from the local resident lady here, a question on competition, local versus foreign, is one angle of her question. But the other question was, we're not getting sufficient services as well. So, so we need more expertise, but is it right to bring in foreign competition at this point? And may I ask the bankers, I mean, you're from a vested interest point of view, and we'll hear from Thailand with real experience where it has actually happened, in whichever order you would like.
Well, if I wear my hat of being one of the foreign banks, I would say yes, just open up as quickly as possible, but That's not going to be the case. Because I think banking is so important for the economies. And I think a country should be very cautious on opening up the banking sectors, because you certainly want to have some controls over how the banking is going to be conducted and how the resources of the country, financial resources, should be directed to ensure that certain development need to be done together with the development of banking systems. For example, in Thailand, in the past, we have regulations that if we open a branch, and this is imposed on just the local banks, if we open a branch in a city, one branch in the city, 3 branches in rural areas. Also, there are certain countries who said the same thing about the electronic cash deposits and withdrawal systems. If you want to install in a supermarket, then probably you also need to install certain numbers in the places that you usually would not want to do. And this is a kind of regulations you might want to impose to actually to respond to your need on inclusiveness. And that usually I found, based on Thailand experience, it works best when you work with the local banks, not the foreign banks. The foreign bank will start yelling, oh, no, we can't take all of that. And also banks have crucial roles in allocating credits to companies. And you want to make sure that they do it right. They do it in the same direction that you want to develop your private sectors. And that would be done via a close cooperation from the finance ministers, economic ministers, and the banking systems. So I think introducing competitions, introducing newcomers are beneficial. Don't get me wrong, okay? And you should do that. But you should also clearly define the roles of the local financial institutions, which has already been here, which is already doing good business with good intentions. And I think they would be willing to work together with you to develop it further.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think just in the interest of time, so that we can address all the questions raised, I would request the panel members to be very brief in their response, but crisp as well. And Utanwan, would you like to add to the competition versus the services gap? Yourself, yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Well, when I think starting with the question of by the lady that the people are not using the banking the system at the moment. It's only partly true, because when we try to offer the new products, say something like ATM cards, debit cards, so people have to to open the accounts with us. So in our experience, we are gaining a lot of customers. For example, even in our main branch in the Kamayo, we already have 100,000 customers with us. It's a one branch alone. So it is a tremendous increase within the past year or so. So I think that may be partly true to the people are becoming aware to bank with us because of the new requirements for the new products they are using. And then when we team up with the Visa and also with Western Union, we are receiving a lot of remittances from abroad. Somewhere around 70 countries all over the world. So in one way, those who are recipients, the manufacturer also have to open accounts with us. Anything that being sort of one way of modernizing the economy, and even in the far-flung area because we have all the branches all over the country, it means that they can use our banking services. That's why I say whenever we open branches, people are flocking to the banks, not because of because they have in mind the new products they are going to use or they need to use. So that's one way of the thing. I think to counter your assertion that because it's only for the maybe true partly only for the local area in Yangon. It's not throughout the country. Throughout the country. Thank you.
Secretary, I'll come to you with the next question, and it's really around microfinance. Myanmar has had a situation where for many years there was one dominant player here which had 90+% of the market share. They've now opened it up with 140 new registrations. But the worry is that because it is now open to NGOs and cooperatives and businesses, that there will be a rule trying to fit to the lowest common denominator. And where is the role of the regulator and the government in this? Is it to go one extreme of consumer protection, or is it to let the economic model thrive? And I guess that's the question that came from the microcredit there. And maybe from your experience in Philippines, I'll be happy to share.
Yeah, it really depends on what the object of the financial inclusion program is, because the type of intervention really depends on the clientele that you're trying to address. For example, if you're dealing with, and it's important to have a really nuanced understanding of who the poor are, because, for example, you're dealing with the extreme poor or the layer of poor people just above them, the near poor. I don't think that many of these interventions, especially from the bank, because of risk averseness, the cost of retailing banking services, and simply physically the absence of those facilities in their areas makes the banks unable to reach them. That's why microfinance groups and alternative financial institutions may be the key. In the Philippines, we have one group called CARD. They have a clientele of about 600,000 people, mostly women, and every year they have a turnover of about 8 billion pesos, and their rate of repayment is about 99%. So they've proven effective in terms of that type of intervention. Of course, in government, we want more scale, because the president's committed to having, cutting poverty in half by the time he exits his office. So the question now is, to what extent are microfinance groups present, especially in the poor rural areas where the high incidence of poverty is found? So I think the challenge is really with these types of groups. And, well, in the Philippines, we rank top 10 in terms of creating an environment for microfinance groups to thrive, and so the potential is there. But apart from the interventions like microfinance, especially in dealing with this lowest rank of what we categorize as poor, I think it's also important for government, side by side with microfinance programs, to provide a sustained social protection program, because many of these poor people live in geohazard areas, speaking for my country, and even if, once they've been able to start a business, but the place gets flooded, then that whole venture crashes. So it's important also for government to be able to extend social protection services to the very poor that you want to address.
Thank you, Secretary. We are also being very well tracked by Google and Twitter as we speak, and have been in anticipation of this session. So I have picked one question which has come out very prevalently through the Google and Twitter in one way or another, and I'll address that to the Finance Minister for his response, because I think it is very relevant. And what they have to say in Google is that they think Myanmar is better off without banks. Worldwide, banks have done more harm than good now. And the Twitter is that making a shift from a cash to a banking system will require huge investments in transactions, in new systems, in the learning and relearning. And would this cost outweigh the benefit, having learned from the worldwide experience? So, Minister, why do you even bother to move from a cash to the bank economy?
I'm very pleased to say, because today I got so many experiences, so many comments, and very good times for me. And I like to say, we have plans have been made for the greater outreach of banking services through such measures. The number one is opening more branches in rural areas, in each and every part of the country. That this is our intention. And we would like to promote mobile banking. And we will encouraging these savings. And we'll initiating the electronic banking or mobile banking. And we enhancing the payment system, payment and settlement systems. And we would like to allow to install auto clearing house, because the payment and clearing system is very important for our financial access. And we want to enhance our capabilities of the microfinance institutions. This is our idea. So I received your comments from the tweeters and hookers, so I'm very happy with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Clearly, we had many hands up still for questions, and that is, I think, a reflection of the interest in the session, and a tribute to the panelists for having made such valuable comments and remarks as opening and then to your questions. I would like to close the session to maintain my credibility with the World Economic Forum right on time at 6 p.m., which is a minute away. And all I have to say in the last minute is that Myanmar has all the advantages of being able to create the rules. They are not living under the challenges of a system or of existing legacy rules. They can create them. They can import the 21st century technology of choice and leapfrog. They can license the players of choice, of world repute and successful track record. They have a lot of learning from the successes and the failures of people closer to them and further away to gain from. And they have the power of the ASEAN unification, which they honorably chair in 2014, to take them ahead. I look forward, along with all of you, to see how financial inclusion in a sustainable way takes shape in Myanmar over the next few years. Thank you. Thank you to the panelists, and thank you to the participants.